Let's dig a bit deeper on what happens next, what it all means. I want to bring in Cliff Albright, co-founder and executive director of the Black Voters Matter Fund. Cliff, as you know, not a single Republican in the House voted for that bill, faces an uphill climb in the Senate. As we've noted before, it would need 10 votes from Republicans to overcome a filibuster. Does your group see any openings among Senate Republicans?
Well, unfortunately, thanks for having me, Craig. Unfortunately, no, we don't see any openings among Senate Republicans, but we do see an opening to get the 50 Democratic votes that we need in order to get these bills passed. At the end of the day, we've known all along that the filibuster is going to be an obstacle. You're not going to find 10 votes in the Senate to pass voting rights, right? You couldn't even get 10 votes in the Senate to investigate what happened on January 6th. And the House Republicans just showed us that there's not a single Republican in Congress willing to support voting rights. But here's the good news. The House has leverage because, as you said, they've got this September 27th deadline by which they want to vote on infrastructure. We can link those two issues. In other words, the House can say, look, until you vote, until the Senate votes on H.R. 1, which was the House's first priority, and vote on H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, until the Senate does that, the House doesn't have to vote on the infrastructure bill. They can connect these two issues the same way that some moderates were making news by trying to connect the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. Progressives and those that support voting rights can connect the infrastructure bill to voting rights. No voting rights, no infrastructure. That's a demand that we're going to be making as activists. And we actually shared that request with Speaker Pelosi. Several of us just met with her in both an in-person and a video conference where we expressed the need for the House to hold the line. The House has done its job, but we need them to also use their leverage and influence to influence their Senate colleagues.
Cliff, you mentioned John Lewis, the bill named after the late congressman from Georgia who always implored folks to make good trouble. That phrase, partially the inspiration for the Make Good Trouble rally that your group participating in Saturday at the Lincoln Memorial, as I understand it, on the anniversary of the first March on Washington. Talk about the significance of this fight now.
Yeah. No, exactly. We were exactly inspired by John Lewis. He said, sometimes you got to get in the way. Sometimes you got to get in trouble. It's got to be good trouble, right? Necessary trouble. That's the spirit behind the rally that we'll be doing on August 28th. Yes, it's the anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington, which, by the way, was the March for Jobs and Freedom. So even in 63, it wasn't just about one issue. It wasn't just about civil rights or voting rights. It was about a combination of issues. We're trying to live up to that spirit with the rally on Saturday, where we're talking about voting rights, yes, and that's important to us at Black Voters Matter and other organizations, but we're also talking about a range of other issues that we believe are connected to voting rights, because at the end of the day, what makes this voting rights battle so important isn't just because of the process of voting itself, but it's because it's the very thing that lets us get the other items on our agenda, to get infrastructure, to get immigration reform, to get a living wage. That's why voting rights is so important, and we believe that we got to get in some good trouble. That's why we've been leading civil disobedience, a group of us led by League of Women's Voters at the White House yesterday and zip-tied ourselves to the fence across from the White House, because we're going to have to ramp up the civil disobedience in the spirit of love, in the spirit of nonviolent civil disobedience, and in the spirit of respectful disobedience. But we're going to have to ramp up the civil disobedience and the direct actions in order to get the House, the Senate, and the White House to move on this critical issue of our voting rights.
I've got about 60 seconds left, but I did want to talk about gun violence for a moment, because tomorrow you're taking part in a national summit on gun violence. What action do you want to see from lawmakers on gun violence specifically?
Yeah, that's one of the issues that we'll be talking about at the rally on Saturday. We want to see common sense gun control. We want to see background checks. And again, connecting this to voting rights, this is the problem when you have voter suppression. Not only does it target and marginalize the Black voters and the brown voters and young voters that are the direct targets of the voter suppression, but it creates a system where you can have 90% of the country that supports common sense gun reform, and yet you have Republicans in the House and in the Senate that won't budge one bit because they are isolated from the very voters, even Republican voters. That's the extension of what happens when you have voter suppression. It warps the entire political system and the entire democracy.
Cliff Albright, we will have to leave it there, good sir, but thank you. Do appreciate your time on this Wednesday.